You are listening to Processing Trauma Out Loud, conversations about trauma and healing from two women who are doing the work.
Hey everyone, this is Kandace and Sher with Processing Trauma Out Loud. Sher, we have a special guest with us today who I'm just going to jump right in and have her introduce herself. We are super excited about having a friend with us today who we highly respect, who is very knowledgeable in the topic that we're going to be discussing. And yeah, we're going to do a few episodes. And so, Laurie Proctor, thank you so much for saying yes to this invitation to just share with our listeners, to share with us, and to share some of your knowledge and experience around the modality of internal family systems. Thank you, Laurie.
Thank you. It's so good to be here with both of you. I know you guys know this, but I just adore both of you. You mean so much to me. So to watch what you guys have done and created here, 4 years now. I just heard 4 years of this podcast. So congratulations. And it's just a joy to be here. So yeah, I'm Laurie Proctor. I am a certified story coach that uses the Enneagram, IFS, and narrative trauma therapy. I also am starting to use a new modality called human design. So I am a person that is obsessed with modalities that help us to heal. That's my jam. Give me a modality that somatic or whatever the modality is. If it helps us to be more in that place of what we call in the trauma world, ventral vagal, where we feel safe and connected and socially able to be our full authentic self without shame, without burdens. I am obsessed with that. How do we all, each individually, and then as a collective, transform into that highest, wisest place that is ours? Mm-hmm. Yeah. And in IFS, we call that self energy. We all have it. Not one person is without it. I just find that amazing.
Mm. Yeah. The word that comes to me when I think of you is just very well-rounded. Being able to integrate different modalities, not only in your own life, but as you're working with your clients, being able to offer these different modalities and just see what clicks for them. And so today we're really just going to look at kind of the foundation or the basics of internal family systems, or IFS. And so Laurie, in IFS, we have a part of us that's called the exile. And do you feel like that would be a good place to start? And if so, and you feel like you want to, even maybe some of your story about what happened when you started to see that you had an exile.
Yeah. So to start, just the framework of internal family systems, I just kind of want to give a broad overview. So it's an evidence-based modality of psychotherapy that was discovered. It kind of was developing. Dr. Richard Schwartz, he was the one that kind of developed this. He was a family and marriage counselor, and he was noticing in his patients as he was working with them that there was this self-energy that's evident in even the most traumatized person. And then he noticed that there was these parts of us that held how we survive, how we cope, how we manage. And those are our protective parts. And the protective parts manage in one of two ways. They're the managers that get everyday life done. So that's what we'd call our personality, right? But then we also have these firefighter parts that prevent us, put the fire out of pain. So our protectors are kind of in two categories: managing or firefighting. And the managers are the everyday, got to get it done, got to make the donuts, that kind of thing. And then the firefighters are, if the pain's too much, they will come and shut it down through numbing, disassociation, doing things that will just help soothe our system, food, alcohol, you name it. Sex, drugs, TV, shopping, gambling. Firefighters tend to want to put the fire out of the pain. Well, the one in our system that holds the pain is the exiles. And we could have one exile, we could have hundreds of exiles. It really, every system kind of is their own family. That's why it's called internal family systems. So for me, I remember distinctly having an exile come into being because I was old enough. And we have these exiles kind of happen all through our childhood. But I remember this one in particular. I was with my father, my parents were separated. And I still could remember this little 12-year-old girl, me, had so much hope that, okay, when my dad was living with us, he completely ignored me, neglected me. But now that he's away, maybe now he will see me. Maybe now he'll love me. Maybe now he'll find value in me. So there was this really hopeful, like, do you hear the innocence? Like, there's just this beauty and innocence in me that, was kind of coming forward. And I didn't even know it. It's just me being me. And there's a lot to the story, but he had taken me to see a totally inappropriate R-rated movie. And I was 12. I don't even know if I was quite 12. I was almost 12, I think. And it was intense for my body, for my little girl personhood to take in. And so we got back to his bachelor pad, his apartment, and I was so full of arousal energy, right? That, like, this movie was sexual and it was intense and violent. And I didn't know where to put it or how to talk about it, but it was about dancing. It was Saturday Night Fever. I don't know if you guys remember that movie from the 70s. Well, I thought it was the best, but it was violent. And there was a lot in it that my brain couldn't comprehend. And my dad was not someone to talk about it. So I just got up and I started dancing and like just expressing myself. Well, now I could tell you that story through my dad's eyes. It hit his shame. But in his shame of watching his daughter kind of dancing sexually that he was the one that took me to the movie. He just shut me down. Like, he told me to sit the F down, like what was wrong with me. Like, and the shame in that moment, like I can still feel it. Like my fingers are starting to tingle and I start to feel like my heart palpitating. Like the shame that something was wrong with me, and especially my body, because I was moving it, I was dancing. But the exile that came out of that, and I sat down and I was trying to withhold the tears, but that exile basically was like, you're too damn much. Like, it was in that moment. And then a vow came with it. And this is the vow of one of my protective parts, one of my managing parts, that said, I will never do that again. I will never be like that again, which was what? Free in my body. That was dancing and wanted my dad to like notice me and say, wow, what a good dancer. You really know how to do those moves. But he saw a sexualized 12-year-old and he, in his shame, shut it down. But that shame became mine. Like, I am fundamentally flawed. So that story, even though it was, and I don't know if your listeners watch or if they just listen, but I'm holding like a very small piece. It's a very small piece of my trauma, but it was significant because the exile was really born there, or if not born there, got bigger there. And my exile being, I'm too much. I am too much. And the too much is not good. And it needs to be told to sit the F down and to go away and to be small. So I really held that exile. And she's still in me. I mean, she's unburdened now, but there are certain times or situations where, like my husband in recent years, he had a habit of saying, oh, chill out, relax. And that exile, like, felt it. It felt like, sit down, you're too much. And so I had a protector. So here now we're in the manager protector part. And this protector, she's fierce. She's fierce because she's like, no one will tell me to sit the F down ever again. And so that's my protector. Like, don't tell me to sit down. And then she gets fierce and feisty. So that's one of my protectors and one of my exiles. And I see you guys both nodding. I'm wondering if you're even connecting to some of your own exiles and protectors of how they go about protecting. So the whole theory of IFS is that we are not of just one mind, that we have these different parts of us that because trauma fragments our personalities. So it literally goes into these different parts, these protective parts, these parts that hold the pain, and these parts that try to hide and soothe the pain. So that's really kind of the modality. And the way then as a practitioner, we help people in this modality is through witness. Tell me the story. What happened there? And each part is going to have their kind of slant or their viewpoint of how they interpret the story. But and those are our protectors and managers, but then the exile is the one holding the pain and the shame and the trauma of the story. It's literally the parts of us that are burdened with the pain, that need to grieve, that need to rage or to go in that you that you guys always talk about, right? The pain of that you, to really let that pain out. Because that little part of us is holding the pain. Like that burden that my dad created in me through his shame is a burden I've had to live with. And it's lifted, but there's still vulnerability there. Like, even though I feel that exile is free, like if something very similar, like I said, if my husband or someone, tells me to chill out or calm down, or, you're being kind of loud, like I feel that exile, feel that pain. Even though it's unburdened, she's like, oh, I know that pain. I felt that before. I don't want that again. Mm-hmm. So there's still a vulnerability there. For me, that's part of my story. And I had other exiles too. I had an exile. So that was my too much exile. I also have a you're not enough exile. It's kind of like two sides of the same coin. Mm-hmm. But an exile that was like, you suck. You don't have what it takes. And I have story after story after story in my trauma history that kind of strengthened that exile's burden of, you're not making the cut. You're not good enough to even be at the table. Mm-hmm. So those are kind of the two exiles that I've had to contend with in my life. Mm-hmm. So I'm just wondering, I'm just looking at your faces, and I want to hear from you guys, what's coming up for you guys, even as I talk about the exiles and the protectors and the managers. Does it make sense to you guys? I mean, I know you guys do this work every day.
Yeah, and IFS has been, huge for me, as you know, Laurie, because we've worked together. And I think when I think about why IFS is important, it's because we long for freedom. We long for wholeness. We long for to not be stuck in the patterns that seem like we're stuck in, that cause us struggle in our lives over and over and over. And that's what you're talking about here. It's like the ways that your protector shows up causes you to struggle, causes relational tension, causes all these things that we try to break free from. But if we don't understand the system that is at work, kind of beneath the waterline,
yeah,
we can't make the changes that we want to make to live the life that we really want to live and that we were really made to live. And so that's, so I go back all the time to I want to do this hard work. It's not easy work, but it's good work, but it's unearthing our exiles and understanding our protectors. The light bulbs begin to go on. So yes, as you're talking about your exile and your protectors, for sure, I have several exiles that I have become aware of. And I'm going to say this, I wasn't planning to say this, and I'm not going to tell the story, but I actually just worked with a new part this morning, Laurie.
Ooh, do tell.
Yeah, I'm not going to tell, actually, but I want to say it for the sake of the work is ongoing. I've done a lot of work with my parts, and I have great understanding, but I have had a part that has been holding back. I guess that's all I can say. And now today the trust was there, and we had a long conversation, which I will tell you about later, both of you about later. But Yeah, so I think I could tell a little bit about one of my exiles. I think I'm going to choose my exiles. Always tell me their name, which is not true for everybody, but for me,
And can I say something about that?
yeah,
Like, because that is a big piece of IFS is naming or letting our parts name themselves.
yep,
And it's because of exactly the beauty of what you just said, Cher. Like the more, like these are real, full parts of us. They have emotions, feelings, beliefs, thoughts, and they need dignity.
yeah,
And there's something about names
mm,
and naming that there's a dignity to a name.
yeah,
And so I love that your parts name themselves. Like they tell you
yeah,
because there is trust.
hmm,
Like even this new part that just came forward, this part probably didn't have trust in your self energy until now
right,
I
because
love
it
that,
takes
Laurie. I
what?
love that you just said dignity. There's something, yeah. So, and share. I'll let you're going to share next, but like, um, so the dignity piece, because our exiles think what's wrong with me
hmm,
instead of what happened to me.
hmm,
Right.
That's where the dignity can come in for that exile. Oh no, who you truly are, who you were designed to be,
hmm,
Right.
um, was injured through the trauma. So
Right.
thank
That's right.
you for saying that.
yeah. And so the part that I'm thinking about is JoJo, my playful part. And I actually shared a story, really the story of the birthing of this fragmented part early on in our podcasting. I would say it's probably in the 20 something episode. I can't remember, but where I read the story of me just having a great day and running to the field to get the tractor and coming back in and my dad coming into the driving the tractor into the yard, and I'm like 8 years old, and my dad coming out and just being violent with me, and to the point that I fragmented. And this part was had the sense of play is not safe, and bad things are going to happen when I'm having the best day ever. And oh, there was something I really wanted to say. Dignity, like a complete loss of dignity in that story. And that caused me to really feel like I brought up protector parts then to make sure that I never messed up again. And I remember, Laurie, particularly that as we have visited that story many times, actually through the 5 years that I have worked with you as my coach, but that you have asked me the question over and over, what do you think you did wrong? And I remember my answer would be the same every time. I don't know what I did wrong, but I did something wrong, and my story, the story that I told myself was I did something wrong. I did something wrong to deserve this violent outburst of my dad. And it really wasn't that long ago, several months ago, that I realized I don't think I did something wrong. I mean, something triggered my dad for sure, but I am at this place now where I know it wasn't me that did something that deserved to be punished, and all the things that was the story that my exile has held. And so yeah, so then because there was such a loss of dignity and so much fear, and this whole part of myself and my glory that was this alive little girl that loved to play and be active and fast, and all these things became a place where I felt really vulnerable. And so then I had protectors that stepped in to begin to manage me so that I made sure I was hypervigilant and always on top of things and always aware of what is happening and reading the room and looking at faces and always prepared for when is the next time that I'm going to mess up so bad that I get punished in that kind of a way again. And my protectors worked so hard my whole life to make sure that that didn't happen again.
Yeah, and that's so beautiful, Cher. Even like your knowing and seeing of the truth. And it brings me to this question for that exiled part of you. Like, what was it like for her to finally realize she did not do anything wrong?
Yeah. It really takes, and for me, it took a lot of repetition. And this is the thing that I would really want our listeners to hear, that when we experience trauma, we only can tell the same story over and over. It's the story that our brain believes. That's the only story that we can tell over and over until we are able to have somebody be with us in the particularities of the story who can begin to offer a different perspective. But even still, for me, I had different perspectives offered, and I could grasp a lot, and I could allow a lot in, but I still held on for so long to that the bottom line was I was responsible. And so when I was able to come to this place of, what? I wasn't even responsible for what happened. Like it has been life-changing for me. Absolutely, to where, and we're going to talk more about what does it mean to be able to be in self-energy. Like that recognition has allowed me to be so much more in my self-energy because I'm recognizing, oh, I don't always have to be looking over my shoulder. Oh, the people in my world aren't looking for the ways that I'm going to mess up. Oh, most people in the world don't violently attack you for doing something wrong that you don't even know what you did. So, yeah, it's been literally, life-changing. The integration, and we're going to talk more about that word and that concept, integration, but this part is so beloved by me now, and I can be with her in these places, and her pain is, she's not in pain anymore. Like, yeah. So, and we're going to be talking more about all those aspects, but yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And I love that you brought that up, because when the pain gets unburdened, like that's part of the process in IFS, where when we can have the protectors, the managers, like settle and trust our self-energy, trust our system, the self-energy. And we will talk about what self-energy is. And it kind of calms those protective parts. It lets us literally go and rescue that burdened one and have that one unburden. And an unburdening could look, there's endless ways, because it's all about what your system needs to unburden it. I've had unburdenings in my own where I've cried, where I've literally vomited at one time because the pain coming out was so intense. But then once it was out, it was like this weight had been lifted. Yeah. And then you could bring in new belief systems. Like, what is the new belief? Because the old belief was, I was too damn much. Well, the new belief is, I am just right. Mm. I am just as I am supposed to be. Mm. And like you said, Cher, I was this alive little girl that was embodied and full of arousal. Like truly, like I can just name that even with no shame. Yeah. And there was nothing wrong with her. Yeah. She was stunning, just like your little girl that was playing, with unabandoned, like joy. Like she's beloved. Mm. She's not responsible for the violence that she endured.
Yeah. And we love this part of you, Laurie. We love you in your self energy and in your glory and in the ways that you have that aliveness and that energy to not only come after us, but come after so many people who need somebody to have the strength. I've told you so many times, I love your power because I have needed it. And so, yeah.
Thank you. And that's another point I do just want to make. When we unburden our parts, our protector, manager, firefighter parts, when this one they've been protecting is unburdened, they get new roles because now they don't have to be in those roles of protecting and managing to keep us away from feeling the pain. Because that's why those parts of us are there, to keep us from feeling the shame, from being exposed in our shame. Because there's no emotion that's more painful than shame and humiliation. It's the most painful experience. Like it hurts. Like anyone that's known what shame is like, and any of us doing this work knows what shame's like. That's why we're doing the work, because we don't want to be in that type of pain anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So then these roles, like I had this protector role that was powerful, and like yours, Kandace, we know a bit about your parts too. Like I had that FU part, like she was strong and fierce because she was protecting the one in me that was too damn much. Well, she would tell my dad F off. After that, all she wanted was love from him. After that, though, that protective part of me literally said, no more. I am done with my father. And I didn't, if I wasn't telling him F off, I was just not speaking to him. And I didn't for like 8 years. That's how strong my protective part was. Like, oh, really? You're going to call me too much and tell me to sit down? I will not talk to you again. So this part in me, it was powerful, but it kept me from relationship. It kept me from, and my dad in his own trauma didn't come after me. He didn't say, hey, what's going on? Why are you not talking to me? Mm-hmm. He just didn't talk to me back.
Yeah. And I think we discover like that, okay, so we can actually, there's a difference between F off, right? We can actually have a posture of softness and set a boundary. Mm-hmm. Like we don't have to choose being porous to let anyone do or say anything to have access to us, nor do we have to be in that FU part with the wall that wouldn't even matter if you're sorry, you're not getting close to me. Yeah. And I think that's been, just relating to you, Laurie, that as I've been burdened that part, I still get to set boundaries.
That's right.
Right. Yeah.
That's right.
Well, and we're going to talk about the protector parts more in our next episode. And we've already opened the door where we've talked about the exile. We've talked about how the exile comes forth through trauma. We've laid the foundation for how our protector parts step up. But in the next episode, we really want to go much deeper into what is it like to have a protector part or parts, and how do they show up? How do they look? We really want to give our listeners pictures of what do these protector parts look like? Because the truth is everyone has experienced trauma and everyone has parts. Like we really believe that. And so we will be back for part 2 of this series, this 3-part series on IFS with Laurie Proctor. I also do want to say, Laurie, what is your website?
Oh, thank you for asking. It's www.sowthat.com. And so is spelled SOW and then THAT. So it's www.sowthat.com. And the name So That is because my business partner and I, when we were doing our inner healing and all this, we'd be like, why are we doing this? This is so hard. This inner work is so hard. But we're doing it so that we can be free, that we can come unburdened into the world with our gifts and our calling. And we would kept saying, oh yeah, so that we can do that. So we just named our company So That.
Yeah.
Love it.
Which I love.
Laurie.
Thank you guys. I'll see you next time.
Yeah, love you both so much.
Love you.